Turn in your Bibles, if you would, to James chapter 1. Rob just got over hurting his arm. He's one of our Jamaicans. And he decided during the play day on the last day that he would jump into some water that was only 4 feet deep from a high altitude. And now he's got to go visit an ankle doctor. You all right out there? But we love him none the same. No. James chapter 1, verse 26. If any man among you seems to be religious, the religious can be your religion, but it's also your means of worship, your types of worship, what you do for worship, but it also means your religious disciplines. Once you've joined whatever it is that you've joined, in this particular case becoming a Christian, but any other kind of thing that you've joined, a club or anything, it'll come with a certain amount of disciplines or what they want from you or what you're going to do when you join this club. Well, the same thing is true here. If any man seems to have some religious disciplines and bridle not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's disciplines or religion is in vain. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this: to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. If you want to be a Christian and you want to be a man, you help ease the suffering of other people. And it talks about the fatherless or the widows. How many of you know every time I go to a foreign country that has revival, I'll see a lot of men in the church? When I go to countries that are struggling spiritually, and usually in every other way, there's hardly a man in the church. It's like 10 to 1, women to men. And the ones in the one in particular, thinking my wife and I went in January, there was like 5 men in the Sunday morning service, and they all stood against the back wall. Even the men that were there weren't men. What the church needs is father figures and role models. And it's something about, he said, hey, if you want to have some disciplines and you want to have some religious worship, it's not just in here with our hands up. It's not just with our giving, which is a part of our worship, but go out into the world and help ease the suffering that's out there. And it's usually because there's no men in the role that they should be in. And there could be a father at home, but that doesn't mean he's a man of God. So when they come here, try to be that role model that they should have at home. And to the widows, there is something here about father figures and male role models that we need in the house of God. Is there any men in this house? You missed your cue completely. Is there any men in the house? One of the things when you come in here, and you'll bump in at every turn, is a man. Maybe not a perfect man, but a man nonetheless. Men that love God, men that aren't ashamed, men that will lift their hands, I pray. Men that will pay their tithes, I hope. Men that will lead their families. You'll see men in this house. And the Lord said, if you want to have some disciplines, keep yourself unspotted from the world and help a suffering world. Be the man that you should be. This is interesting. So when I read that about fatherless, it's a biblical word. Deuteronomy 24:19, if you don't mind. And so I began to run my references. That phrase fatherless is used over 40 times in the Old Testament, than the one we just read as well. And Israel's always supposed to do something. It's used 4 times in Deuteronomy 24. I just picked 19 just for sake of time. When you reap your harvest in your field and you forget a sheaf in the field, do not go back and get it. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that the Lord our God may bless you in all the work of your hands. It's interesting. Hey, when you're gleaning and you drop something, don't go back. Leave it. Leave it for somebody who's suffering more than you are. Leave it for the widow. Leave it for the fatherless. And leave it for the stranger. The word stranger is used a lot in the Old Testament, and it's kind of strange to us, but back then, if you left one religion and became a Christian, in our sense of framework we're talking about, how many of you know they'd kick you out of the family? You lost your family, you lost dad's checkbook, you lost any inheritance you ever hoped to get. You have now become a complete stranger. So now you walk into a Christian church and you have nothing but the shirt on your back, but you gave your heart to Christ. You came to the foot of the cross and you accepted Jesus as Lord. The Bible says when you see one of those, you treat them like the fatherless or the widow. They're starting all over. There's not a lot of us in this room that knows what it means to start all over with no aid, no help, no nothing. He said, you ease the suffering of these people. The stranger, I can always tell here, stranger to us may be somebody new to the church, and I've trained our ushers and our different teams, look for them. How can you tell? Their eyes are dancing. You know, they've never been here. They're a stranger. And if you see little kids, walk up to them. Hey, can I help you find the children's church check-in? Do you know where our nurseries are at? How can I help you? There's some coffee right over here. Can I help you with some coffee? Find the stranger and don't let them be a stranger anymore. Hey, come sit with us and my family. Don't be a stranger. And folks, that's one of the things I love about this church. Most people say before they hit their seat, they'll be greeted at least 20 times. My wife and I visited churches, and then I hear testimonies from you all, going to a different church, sitting down for an hour and a half, coming and going, service, and not one person said hello. How can that be? Where's the men? Where's the men? You want to have a religious thing? You go see the visitors and you make them feel like they're a visitor no more. What men mean to a church, and there's all kind of statistics that you've heard read many times before about the absence of men and what it means. I don't need to read the statistics. I could just read the Bible. It tells us, be a man. Have a religious discipline to ease the suffering of other people. Be a role model, such as you can, where you can, how you can. Here in Psalm 68, verse 5. A father to the fatherless and a defender of widows is God in his holy habitation. How many of you know he's called God the Father? There's something about God who wants to take care of people. And people usually need, if you don't have a man, some of our African team that I just spoke of earlier got back and they're so poor, and one of the jobs is a platinum mine where they're digging out platinum. So many of the men will have to go away at months at a time. They're not close, they walk. And so they camp there at this platinum mine and they work there and then they come back. But the things that happen back home to the women is unspeakable. How many of you know there's supposed to be men who will be men? In the home, in the area. There needs to be men police officers who understand different roles. There needs to be men everywhere we go who understand. And our religious discipline is not there to take advantage of the fatherless and the widow, but actually relieve their suffering. Sometimes there can be men, sure enough, but if there's a woman, how can I take advantage of her? Or if there's the fatherless, which means they just don't know. Nobody taught me. Nobody taught me about car insurance. Nobody taught me how to buy this or buy that. Nobody taught me how to go and buy a refrigerator. Nobody taught me. There's supposed to be men in the house. And I believe in this place, if you ever need aid or assistance in anything, you let yourself be known, and I'll find you a man somewhere along the line. From buying life insurance to doing this to investments, or how do you buy a car? What are some things I won't get ripped off? Anybody in the house. There's two types of men. The man that'll take advantage of the fatherless, the widow, or the stranger. And there's the type of man who will protect them. Just because it's one of his religious disciplines. To take care of those who could be swindled. Anybody in the house? The fatherless. How many of you know if you ever want to steal, it's like taking candy from a... How many know those babies grow up, though, and they get older and older, and they get some facial hair, but nobody's ever taught them. They go out to buy and purchase. They begin to go out, and nobody's instructed them, or even how to manage a checkbook. How many people today don't even know what a checkbook is? See, when you used to have a checkbook, at the end of the month, you would reconcile it. In today's world, do we ever even look? The church went to the direct deposits for the staff. They asked me, it's easy, it's the way I like check, I like to hand, I want to touch it. But I'm old school, so we went to direct deposits. You know what I told my wife? I said, every week, you pull up our bank account. You make sure it went in. Well, why would you do that? How would you know if you don't check? A bank could miss 2 weeks, and most people would never know it. Man, you have a father in this place. Are you out there? And then you wonder why you're short and everything else, and the bank had a glitch. And for 2 weeks, your direct deposit didn't go in. You'd never know because you never look. You just suppose things work. But now you have a father who would advise you, take 10 seconds while you're watching the Hallmark channel and check and make sure it went in. Whew, tough crowd. We just gotten to the place where we just don't even look, don't even check. But folks, your banking is your responsibility. To look at different things. And we could just go on and on and on, but God is a father to us. In 1 Peter chapter 3, there is some banter about husbands and wives in here, and the first part of the banter is with the wives. I'm going to skip you ladies today and drop down to verse 7. Husbands, likewise dwell with them with understanding. It's a gift from God to understand a woman. Now don't lay me out here by myself. Is there any men in the house? I lost a few because you're scared. You're scared. See, that's why I always say things up here. I'm scared down there. And I'll be terrified on the ride home. But right now, I'm a man and a man true. Are you out there? Husbands, likewise, dwell with them with understanding, giving honor to the wife as to the weaker vessel. It doesn't say she was less of a person, but the Bible does say she could be taken advantage of. You make sure it doesn't happen. You make sure it doesn't happen. Most men read scriptures like this and they think, wife, make me a milkshake. I'm the head of this house and you got to do what I'm going to tell you to do. You ain't a man, you a little boy. Telling his mama to make him a milkshake. Honey, tonight I'll make the milkshakes. No, it just says here, there's nothing wrong with the wife. She's not a second-class citizen. But she has some weaknesses that could be taken advantage of. You make sure it doesn't happen. You step into a role as the protector of that home. You step into a role to protect your wife, if you a man, and a man true. As being heirs together of the grace of this life, that your prayers may not be hindered. It's interesting, it goes all through the wives and clothing and different things, but it drops down to a man right here, and he said, now listen, watch over her, take care of her, love her. We always want our wives to take care of our needs, but are we watching over their needs? When it goes back to James, and we'll close where we started. James 1:27. Pure religion. The Lord said, if you want to get religious about something, you do these three things. Pure religion is something that's undefiled before God and the Father. Notice what's mentioned in this verse. It could have just said God, but what does it say? God and the Father is this. To visit the fatherless. Visit them. Bump into them. See them in the crowd. How's it going? How many of you know a lot of times you can just sneak up on people and have conversations? You don't have to be like a bull in a china closet, but you can kind of sometimes see if a young person is losing their way, and you can step in and say, hey, do you need anything? Would you like to go get a biscuit tomorrow morning and we can talk a little bit? Do you need a mentor? One of the things I've seen, and it's supposed to be in the Christian church everywhere, is mentorship. Always reaching up and always reaching down and knowing that you're always in the middle. All of us need to reach up to somebody, but at the same time, you do know what you know so you can reach down to somebody. When you got that, it keeps you from thinking you're all that because you're reaching up too. What do I not know? What can I learn? When I get around men talking about business and investments, I keep my mouth shut because I know what little I do know, but I want to hear what they're talking about. I want to hear, I want to listen. But it said, visit the fatherless. People who, they don't have the role model or the father in the home that they could or should have had or should be. Try to step in, try to love them, try to give them, hey, my name is so-and-so. If you ever need me, I'm here for you. Sometimes it's just breaking a barrier Hey, you don't even know who I am, but if I can ever help you, I'd be happy to. We got different groups. We got, our Red Tribe group that's out doing on Saturday mornings, picking up tractor tires. And I don't go because I don't want to embarrass them. But, they're picking up tractor tires and they're throwing tire. We got Jamie over there doing videos from the workout thing, throwing 400 pounds around. And I don't want to embarrass him either. But we got men everywhere. One of the things, we was going to do some weed eating tomorrow, but it's supposed to rain. We've been weed eating that bank for I don't know how many years now. Do you know only twice in all these years have we ever had anybody under the age of 20? One, how many of you know this new generation is going to have to learn how to work? Can I hear an amen? And I know, you may be at a computer or you may be designing the newest game, but eventually you got to leave the basement. And that big thing in the sky, it's called the sun. Diane and I were driving through town here. I don't know, it was a year ago. I said, honey, look at that. And I about scared her, because she said, what was it? I said, there was 5 bicycles in a yard. I mean, you don't see people out playing anymore. And now, in their defense, we live in a crazy world. And so I kind of get the balance of it. But there used to be times when you'd be outside. Maybe our kids would go outside more if a dad said, I'll go sit on the porch, I'll keep an eye on them. Rather than telling your wife to do it. As you're doing the laundry and the dishes, you keep an eye on the kids. Because I'm the head of the house. No, you are a squirrel. And you less than a man. Are you out there? If you got her doing the laundry and the dishes, guess who's available to take the kids outside? Sure is quiet in this Presbyterian church. Anybody in the house? Come on. It's time to be men. This world is looking for men. Father figures, role models, people who will just have the religious discipline to make themselves available to ease the suffering of a world. To ease the suffering of a world. He doesn't ask the women to do it, though I'm sure that's integrated into everything else. But he's telling men, you guys want to have a pure religion? Help ease the suffering of a world. One heart at a time, one school at a time, one church at a time. Our nursery workers have told us for years, 95% women watching the kids in the nursery, but they say every time a man is in the room, the toddlers act different. Just one person in there that has a little deeper voice. Billy Bob, what you doing? Anybody know what I mean? Ask our ladies. What do they need? They need some male people back there that have a voice. A different voice. A voice that grabs their attention. How many of you know when I was playing sports, my dad used to be a coach, but then he moved up and became a principal. But anyhow, my coach always got mad because I could always pick one voice out of a packed gymnasium. I knew one voice, and that was my father's voice. So I got my coach screaming in one ear, and I can hear my dad in the other ear. Are you out there? He had my ear. Men, kids, families, you've got their ear, and you may not know it. It's time to be a real man and a true man. A man that's not ashamed of God, and a man that'll help ease the suffering of a world. And probably, if we knew it right now, almost all criminal organizations are probably run by, and all swindling things who call me on the phone every day are probably run by, and the mafia and all the other ones are probably run by, and all kidnapping rings are probably run by, and probably all dope rings are probably run by. Anybody kind of getting the picture? If the negative is run by men, there's a gap there that needs to be filled with men who will stand up for what is right. For what is right. My dad said at one time, he said, he retired at 59. I said, Dad, why are you retiring so early? He said, if a kid got in trouble and were brought to the principal's office, the parents used to come in, take the kid home and spank him. That's been a few years, I know. But he said now the parents come in to the principal's conference and cuss the principal out. Not even knowing what Junior did. My kid couldn't do anything like that. You know what Junior's like at home. Support the system. Oh, well. He said, I'm out. And he said, plus I can't deal with the drug dealers. These are junior high kids. Come in with new shoes like this, and they don't have a job. But the criminals are hiring them with stuff and money, because the worst they'll get is juvie. So while they're out there selling drugs, we're safe. Where's the men? Where's the fathers? You may get a quick earning here and some new tennis shoes, but what about the lifetime? Most prisons are filled with what? Men. Jesus said, if you want to have a discipline, be a good man and help ease the suffering of a world that's hurting. So fathers, we already have this, but I'm pulling you deeper. The world needs you. Yeah, but I don't know much. What you do know, just be a man about it. If you know how to fix a car, help others fix cars. Show them, teach them, advise them, help them. Whatever it is that you do.